Hello, everyone. This is Emma's daughter, also known as Aunt Mary's niece, and I'm bringing you greetings and salutations from Sumter, South Carolina. This particular broadcast is dedicated to Sierra, who made a donation, as well as asked the question about ancestor altars. So, to get started, is that the thing that you need to kind of consider or think about is if you and the person that you're setting up your altars for had a personal relationship, meaning if they were living while you were living, if they not only loved you, but did they like you? Because if you put some ancestors on there who did not really have a good spirit when they was living, a good personality, or they did not have love for you, chances are you're going to have chaos after you set it up. Or if you put ancestors, if you have like multiple ancestors and you put them on an altar next to each other and they did not agree when they were living, you might have chaos. But before you get started, you should always make sure you're cleansed and you're clean from head to toe. A lot of people don't realize it, but you need to make sure your ori or your head is cleansed before you set up any type of altar or do any type of spiritual work. You also want to make sure that the room is clean as well. You don't want to put it in a cluttered place or something that's unkept or you're not really paying attention to. And make sure you also put your altar in a respectable place, even if it's in private or publicly. Now, I do have an ancestor altar, and only certain people are allowed to go into that area. And whenever they do go, sometimes they might recognize it, maybe they're not. But you chances are you won't even see my ancestor altar on video or any pictures or anything of that nature. Why? Because I feel like those are my ancestors and I don't want to be disrespectful to them and not ask for permission to do so. So just like when you have an ancestor altar, you have respect for the living, you have to also have respect for the dead. Now, you also on your ancestor altar, generally speaking, you need to always make sure you have some type of donation or what we call an offering. This particular offering is ancestor money. Sometime I might burn ancestor money if I'm trying to pay off debts on the other side, depending upon what type of working I'm doing. But you can get this. You can actually order some from me. I have a bunch of them that I do sell. It's not on the website at auntmarysniece.com. It is something that you have to ask me for, and I'll get it to you. Also, you need to think about the direction of your ancestor altar. You know, directions matter. You have four directions that we really concentrate on: the north, south, east, and west. If you order a consultation, I'll be able to help you a little bit more in terms of telling you where you may want to place your altar at within your home, depending upon the room too. You know, sometimes people might put their ancestor altar in their bedroom. You got to be kind of careful with that because if you have multiple sex partners or having sexual relationships, you might want to have right relationship with that individual and or cover your altar. Um, if you have people in there that are kind of, I don't want to say one night stands, but you know they're not going to really be around that long. You just doing what you do if you have it in your bedroom. Also, too, you want to make sure you pray before you set it up. Pray while you're doing it. Sometimes music, if you know that your ancestors like music, and or pray after you finish. And then make sure you cleanse after you finish too, because when you setting up an ancestor altar, now remember now you're kind of working with the dead. Most people won't say that, but that's really what it is. And giving homage for their life and so forth. And make sure that whatever you have on their altar, there's things that they actually like. Like if you're working with a deity and you're setting up an ancestry altar, you may not want to put your deity on the ancestor altar unless they kind of agree with what you're trying to do and what type of working you're working with. You know, there are certain deities that you cannot put together. It would cause a bunch of chaos in your life and the atmosphere and everything else. So you got to kind of have a full understanding. Some people have tablecloths or some type of cloth or covering of that particular area that they have their ancestry. They have also water, um, fire, earth. There's different things. But if you're noticing once you set up your ancestry altar, Sierra, and you have a lot of chaos, there's something that was not done respectfully. And so I want you to check the direction. If you have it respectfully placed, either in private or in public, and or the people that you have set up there, do they agree? It's almost like if you're having a wedding, certain people cannot sit together, so they have placemats or place settings for different people at a wedding ceremony or some type of event, so that you won't nobody won't sabotage whatever you got going on. And the same is true whenever you're setting up an ancestral altar. And you also want to pay attention to it. You don't want to just set things up there and then leave it and go. You want to spend some time with your ancestors, talking to them and building a relationship if you don't have one already established. So that's very, very important that you have a working relationship with your ancestors because they're on the other side and the other dimension in order to help you to accomplish whatever goals that you have set for today. So, just to recap, whenever you're setting up your ancestral altar, make sure you have a right or good relationship with the people that you're going to be working with or that you're trying to pay homage to. Make sure that they not only love you, but they like you too. Because sometimes people can love you and don't like you. A case in point was I was looking at Ayana Van Zant, and there was a granddaughter who grandmother loved her but didn't like her, and I can't wait to see part two. So I haven't seen part two yet, but um, you don't want to put a person like that on your ancestor in your ancestor altar if you had that type of frictional relationship. Also, too, you don't want to mix living people and dead people together on that altar. What did I say? You don't want to mix living people and dead people on that altar unless you want to get rid of somebody. Now, I will tell you, and I probably shouldn't. There was one aunt that I had that, every now and then I do think about putting her on that ancestor altar, but I haven't done it because that's not the right thing to do. But I have thought about it, just because we're not in right relationship. But if somebody want to hear that story, just let me know, and then I'll be able to tell you a little bit more about that. But make sure you send the offering before you ask me about that story. Also, too, make sure that it is in a respectable place and that you're making offerings. You can make food offerings, drink offerings, smoke offerings. Any type of offerings that that person liked when they was living. Like on my ancestor altar, I have a item that one of my aunts that just passed last year, well, this year, that she loved when we were children growing up. So I have one of her favorite candies on there. So, and colors also matter too. You want to make sure that things are agreeable if you want to have agreeable spirits. So, without further ado, make sure that when you set up your altar that you will cleanse. Make sure you cleanse from your head to your toe. Washing your feet is very important. Having clean hair, a clean head is very important. A clean body before, during, and after. You don't want to set it up because you just woke up out of bed. You want to respectfully do this as if um, you're recognizing the value that they had and have into your life. So until we meet next, until we meet again, this concludes basic things you need to think about when developing an ancestral altar. And thank you, Sierra, for the donation as well as for the question. Have a great day, and remember, I'm a friend of many.